Hey guys, it's Aaron from Flight Quality. Today I've got a pair of the Cleto Reyes hybrid training boxing gloves. Let's check it out. So Cleto Reyes are probably one of the top premium brands in the world, maybe only alongside Winning and Grant really in terms of how popular they are. They're well known because they're used in many pro fights, but they're actually a Mexican brand who've been around for over 70 years now, which is absolutely brilliant. So they have a lot of wealth of knowledge and expertise to rely on. As with all Cleto Reyes gloves, they're aimed at slightly more advanced people, although these are the hybrid training gloves. So they're not so much for pro fights or anything like that. They're more for training, so you can use them for a bit of bags, a bit of pads, maybe even some light sparring. Cleto Reyes really designed their gloves for people looking for the best quality you can possibly find in a boxing glove. So that's what these gloves are really going for. If you don't know what hybrid means, basically you have laces and Velcro, so you have a bit of both. We'll come back to this a bit more later on to say how it actually fares in reality, but the concept is that you have both the Velcro and the laces for optimal support. Right, so if you're looking to buy these gloves, you'll notice they don't actually measure them in weights. So usually with most gloves you have 10 ounce, 12 ounce, 14 ounce, 16 ounce, etc. With these gloves you don't. You have small, medium, large and extra large. Don't get fooled into thinking that these gloves match up perfectly so a small is 10 ounce. It doesn't quite work like that. From other reviews and our own personal experience, the medium tends to be around 14 to 16 ounces. So this is a 16 ounce pair as it happens, which is a medium, but other people have reported their mediums are about 14 ounces. So if you're looking for using these just for sparring, you want the equivalent of a 16 ounce glove, it's probably best to go with a large. Obviously, there is a bit of a size difference as well. So the smaller you go, the physically smaller the glove will be as well. So if you're a youth or a child, you might want small or extra small. Whereas if you're on the larger side, you might need to go for that large. Obviously, if you are intending on using these for sparring, just check with your coach first, because obviously where these aren't 16 ounce, you don't want to be told you can't use them, even though they might actually physically weigh that amount. So make sure you talk to your coach before getting these if you are intending to use these for sparring. So Reyes typically produce what they call puncher's gloves. Obviously these aren't fight gloves, they're training gloves, so they'll be a little bit different, but you can definitely see that they have the same sort of design and build. So the padding is fairly thin and uniform all over. What this means is that while the padding isn't particularly hard, it does mean that your knuckles tend to sink in a little bit more than they normally would, which is where they call it a puncher's glove, because you can really make the contact with your actual knuckles through the glove. Obviously if you are planning on sparring these, try and use it just for light sparring, because these can be a bit hard hitting. There are other alternatives available even from Cleto Reyes for sparring, which have slightly more padding, but these ones can be a little bit hard hitting. You do get quite a nice snap when you punch, but your opponent might not appreciate it as much. So in terms of visuals, there are absolutely tons of colours available for these gloves. You have yellows, greens, reds, blues, and then you even have other colours such as gold. I think there's a titanium one. There's also a Mexican version which has the Mexican flag colours on it as well. So no matter what you're looking for, you'll find something with these gloves. Fancy patterns, not so much. They tend to go for just the solid colour with the exception of that Mexican version that we just mentioned. But there's absolutely tons of options to go for. In terms of visuals, you obviously have that main logo on the front. Ours are starting to wear down a little bit. We'll come back to that a bit later. You have the patch here, but other than that, that's pretty much it. They're pretty basic, pretty minimal, and they're just going for a very sleek, unique style. On the cuff patch, they've actually used a bit of gold stitching in there, which I think just makes it look like a little bit more premium. It's just a bit nicer as well. Also, underneath the strap, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but they have the logo and the model number just stamped into the leather as well, which is very subtle, hidden away, so you don't really notice it. It's a nice little touch when you do actually put the gloves on and have a look at them. So the materials on these are by far better than most of the gloves that we've tried. The leather is absolutely brilliant. When you first get it out of the box, the smell of leather is like buying a brand new pair of shoes, except it's really strong. And we're not the only people to comment on that, other people have commented as well. And it seems people really like that unique feel of opening it up and getting that fresh smell. It's probably more intense than any other gloves we've had. Often you get a little bit of a leather smell, but these actually still smell quite nice now. You can still get that unique leathery smell, which isn't quite the same as any other glove out there. It's a bit hard to describe. The quality of the leather though is actually really good. It's not just the smell. So you can tell it's really thick, it's really nice. It's cowhide leather on this glove, although some Reyes gloves are made with goat skin, I believe. It's pulled over, it's folded really neatly around the edges, and the quality is just brilliant. It's really well put together. And you can see slight creases in the leather where it's used over time, but I think that just adds to the character a little bit more. On the inside you have a nylon feeling material, which isn't uncomfortable on the skin, but I wouldn't say it's as comfortable as some of the softer ones. But what this material does do is it really wicks away the sweat nicely, so I don't ever feel like the gloves are damp on the inside. It never really feels like they're wet or soaking up too much sweat, which is obviously means that after a long session these will be a little bit more comfortable than some other gloves perhaps. The Velcro is pretty sturdy on these. You can take it off easily, but it definitely holds itself in place. It's not going to peel off and start scratching your opponent anytime soon, so that's also one less thing to worry about. So the craftsmanship's another thing. You can really tell they've got 70 years of experience behind them, because when I first got them there wasn't a stitch out of place. All the lines are really straight. Stitching's really nice, it's really neatly done, and everything's reinforced really well. You can see where they've stretched the leather around the gloves as well. It's really stretched around the padding neatly, and they've folded it really neatly here. It's probably one of the neatest set of folds I've seen on the side of a glove, which really goes to show the amount of attention to detail they put into these and the quality of the materials and the expertise that they have behind them. One thing I'm not really a fan of with the way these are put together is the fact they have so many labels on them. So you've got this little weight one here, that's fine. There's actually two inside on this glove, and on the right hand there's another one that sticks out just here, just underneath the Velcro strap, which I find it just a bit awkward. I don't really see why it needs to be there, and it always seems to stick out when you don't want it to. It's just one of those things. I feel like they could have simplified that or just left them all inside. Right, so let's take a look at the actual hybrid closure of these gloves. So what you have is you have a typical lace-up glove here. Doesn't seem to have a huge amount of holes, so it's very loosely tied up. I feel like they probably could have added a little more. And then you have the Velcro strap as well, which just ties around just to secure that in. I love the fact that you do have the options. You have that flexibility, and you can really choose whether you want to go tight on the laces or just rely on the Velcro strap. But it has its flaws at the same time. I do find it's a bit of a pain when you're lacing up the gloves, because you think with a Velcro glove you'd be able to just do it up yourself, but at the same time you have to wait for someone else with these gloves to help you lace up your own gloves. So you have to get someone to tie it up. Then when you've tied it up, there's not really anywhere for the laces to go. Normally with a lace-up glove you'd tie it around the back of the hand, but you can't really do that here because of where the Velcro strap is. So you just kind of have to tuck them in. So there are ways around that, of course. On my gloves I decided to switch out the laces for some elastic cord, which means you can kind of get the benefits of the laces, but you can slip your hand in yourself, and then you have the Velcro strap to go around and support yourself a bit better. Don't want to go for that method, you do have some other options available. You could loosen the laces up enough so that you can slide your hand in with them already tied up, or what you could do is just take them out completely and just rely on the Velcro strap. The problem I find with that method is that this slit does come up quite high, so you might not be getting the palm protection that you really need. If you do have a longer session though, it is worth getting them tied up, just because that fit is really nice, and after a long session they can still really feel comfortable and have that great fit. These are fairly well fitted around the hand, a fairly snug fit. There's a little bit of room on the side for me, but people have said that they do find these come a bit small, so perhaps if you have bigger hands you might want to go for the large just to be safe, just to make sure that you can actually fit your hand in comfortably. So these are suitable for all sorts of training really. You could use them for pad work and get some nice contact, you could use them for heavy bag and really hammer those shots in, or you could use them for light sparring. I really think that despite the issues with sizing, these are actually really nice to use for sparring, mainly because they are so slim and you can really sneak those shots in there. They've also got some good hand movements. You can open your fingers quite nicely, which is great for parrying, or especially if you're doing something else like kickboxing or Thai boxing, where you can catch kicks. The problem I found with that is that the thumb sticks out at a slightly weird angle, so it seems to jut outwards a bit more. Whereas most gloves seem to tuck in, it seems to stick out, which means that sometimes it can get in the way a little bit. I've also found that because it sticks out, the thumb is a little bit more prone to rubbing, so that section is a little bit more worn than any of the other sections on the glove. With these gloves though, it's really the quality that stands out, and when you're using them you can really feel it. And it's just a little bit of an ego boost to know that you're using such high quality materials. If you're looking to buy these gloves in the UK, I think they're about £170. But obviously that price does depend on where you look, and I think sometimes they might vary the prices depending on what size you buy as well, so it may vary, you just need to look around. This is obviously pretty high price, it's definitely not a bargain glove, but the quality, the materials all back that up. This is the kind of glove that you go for if you're really looking to get the maximum quality out of your glove, or you're looking for a really solid glove that's going to last you for absolutely years. Right, so to cover a couple of key points that we found with these gloves, the materials and craftsmanship on these are brilliant. The materials and leather is absolutely amazing. The hybrid fit offers a few more options in how you want to wear these, so you can rely mainly on the laces or just the Velcro on its own. They're also really nice to use for sparring, mainly because of the fit and the size, even despite the issues with the actual weight. The price is a little bit high, but if you're looking at Cleto Reyes, you know to expect that anyway. It's a bit weird that they're measured by size and not weight, which is a little bit awkward if you're looking for a certain size. And also they can be a little bit tight fitting, so you do need to make sure you go up a size if you do have larger hands. So that's it for this review. If you like that, head over to fightquality.com where we've got a whole load of written reviews and guides already. Or if it's video stuff you're interested in, head over to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, and we will see you next time.